goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
It's Howdy Doody time. Note, Howdy Doody this week will be played by your mom.
Oh, God. Yeah, so...
I liked how deeply committed to lowbrow you were.
You really are.
At first, it was like kind of a lame joke, and then you turned it into a mom joke, and I'm just so proud.
You know, I have
Hashtag
layers.
You have
deep,
layers.
deep layers.
You're like an onion. You have layers.
And the more you peel back, the more you want to cry.
Oh, that's good.
I'm so glad we're getting a divorce.
You heard it here first.
So,
folks.
It's a little in.
So we're on...
You got tired of me.
Oh, shit.
Amazing.
It's going down right here.
Amazing.
So we're on episode number 31.
What?
Ooh,
Yeah, episode
Episodes are as
31.
old as we are now.
Ooh.
They are. And this week we're going to be talking about some sausages.
And not just John's for
And
a
not
change.
just John's for a change.
Or just like various actors' junk. Whose junk did you talk about for a really long time? Magneto?
Yeah, you
Oh, yeah.
did.
Yeah,
you did talk
he talked
about.
about his
Hey,
dick.
neither of you have checked it out yet. He is swinging some glorious pipe. Like if you know,
What is that actor's name? I'm blanking right now.
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, that's it.
And
Fassbender.
Shane.
You're talking about Fassbender's
Oh yeah,
scene.
like the thing is that the Westminster Dog Show, like if they did like the Westminster
God.
Dick Show on Thanksgiving, like they would put it and they would be like, and yeah, this is the toy breed.
Well, who said that isn't really what it is? I mean, some of those dogs have some
Well,
packages.
they grab their balls, like they're like, oh, okay, that's good.
I don't think they do any ball grabbing
They
at
do.
the dog
They
show.
check. They do.
They
touch,
seriously
they
touch the junk and
Really?
just like.
Yes,
What are they testing for? Firmness?
I never understood that. I
It's
think
like
it was
part of the dog's
how
power.
well their peer breeders is important.
Well, Spotswood, I believe the scrotal sac here is just a little bit tender. And you're not only about 3/4 full of semen. And I think I have to scrotal. Yes. And.
Oh, good chap.
I wish,
Good chap. Yes,
I wish
Spotswood. Yes,
everybody
Spotswood.
could see that we were like
Spotswood.
all making ball grasping movements on our podcast that has no picture.
Both outs and semen.
Oh, yes, good sir.
Oh,
Yes,
guys,
yes.
if you didn't think we could talk about junks in any more depth, you
We
were
haven't
wrong.
even touched Sausage Party
We haven't
yet,
even
so
started.
this is all the pre-show
We
here.
Wait,
Not
are you
yet
trying
begun
to
to
say
fight.
that sausage is supposed to be a penis? Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah.
like euphemism things.
It's a euphemism.
Oh, that movie was dirty.
It was dirty.
dirty. But we have a little tasty tidbit before we get
What's our news
to
bit?
Sausage Party. So, you guys, we have to talk about the new Beauty and the Beast trailer that dropped. I'm totally freaking out. I'm totally in love, but like I've been hurt before, so I feel like I'm holding back. I'm having
You
so
know
many
the
feelings.
Beast is like trying to. He's like raping.
No, there's no rape.
There's some rape.
There's no rape.
Yeah, she
He's
spends
like-
the whole movie running from a bear that's trying to rape her, and then
There's
she
no
goes
rape
like,
in
you know
this
what?
I mean, we were
movie.
talking before the show. Now, since we're talking about junk,
Oh
Okay.
God, here we go. Buckle in, kids.
don't you think like he's supposed to be a beast, which is like an amalgamation of all sorts of animals? Like got like goat
like a bear cat.
and a bear. Yeah, like a bear cat. Do you think maybe his dick is kind of like a cat's dick, where when he's starting to get at it,
I'm gonna Google this.
his
I haven't given his dick a
his
lot of
dick,
thought.
but I'm just saying. Don't you think his dick kind of has like barbs?
and that's
like
how
that's why cats have sex.
That's how, not why. The barbs have nothing to do with why.
No, but it kind of like locks them in place.
well, most animals are like that because they have to procreate. and
yeah, I know that,
they
but
don't
it's
want
not.
to.
It's not fun.
No.
It's terrible for them.
Well, us and
Oh,
dolphins,
sweet
like
Jesus.
humans and dolphins, are the only
See?
ones.
Bear dicks are not a pleasant sight, folks.
Oh, you Googled.
shit.
That's what you
Let me-
Googled.
let me
You
see.
Googled bear
What's
dicks.
this look like?
Though the balls are surprisingly human looking.
Whoa! Why is the bear that you picked like in just
He's
full
like
spread eagle?
so good.
Like,
He's
come
like-
on, get it,
He's
ladies.
also rock
Come on,
hard.
get it.
He's also rock
My
hard.
name's Yogi.
Only John could find a picture of a rock hard bear on the internet. Have you ever seen a hairless bear?
No, we
It's
don't.
a horror show.
we don't
God.
have time for that.
We don't have time for that shit.
Oh,
But-
I'm sorry. We're talking about penises, and
No,
we don't have time,
for
Oh,
that.
okay.
But
right,
all
cool.
I'm saying is, you know, Do you think he's got a human penis down there, or a bear, or a
I
horse?
have not
or...
given his junk any thought.
You
I'm
gotta
just
give this junk some
excited for
thought.
this movie, Brian.
Okay, well, why are you excited for this movie?
Well, it looks like it's actually going to be very well done. Which
It's got Hermione in it.
It's got that Disney budget.
It's
yeah.
the
Yeah,
well,
they
it's
get
and it's
some
to
of that Disney Marvel, money.
I mean, we've seen other
Thor's in this. That'd be awesome.
we've seen other adaptations before. It would be.
I
awesome
thought
if
this
Thor
was
in it.
Asgard.
I mean, even just if Chris Hemsworth is in it, that would be fine.
I will slay the beast.
But we've seen a couple live adaptations. Now, I didn't catch The Jungle Book, but I
Neither
did
did I.
see Cinderella, and it was. I mean, it was fine.
It was
Okay.
terrible.
Cinderella is not by any means my favorite Disney tale
Okay.
anyway, but in this case, I thought it was. I thought it was a little cheap. I thought that they didn't quite have enough money, which was kind of upsetting. So
Disney, not enough money.
I don't know. I mean, just the effects with the mice were kind of poor when they were like just talking to her. The
Yeah.
transformations I thought were very visually
Okay.
well done. But this does look like it's going to be well done. One thing that I think that they are not hitting us over the head, but like they are trying to reassure us with every trailer that's come out.
It looks
all of the
like
teaser
just like
trailers,
the
it's like a
animated
shot-for-shot remake, basically
But-
of the trailer.
But the thing is, we've seen that, and most times whenever they do a shot-for-shot remake, Psycho,
Right.
it ends up failing.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing with this, this is how the trailers have been handled, but the content of the film is going to be both different from the original animated picture of
Okay.
91 and then the Broadway adaptation. Now, I'm
Okay.
also a huge fan of the Broadway adaptation and the new songs that were written for that.
Yeah.
Now, there were new songs written for this too. And
What are new songs?
there's going to be 2 new songs. And
Please tell me one of them's a rap.
that would be amazing. I would be so into that.
The candlestick just like starts like rapping.
But the original
Yo, des bitch.
the original lyricist Tim Rice, he worked on the film for the new songs, and he worked with Alan Menken for the music.
Okay.
Because the original composer, he died. The late Howard Ashman, who did a lot of work for Disney, he's passed away now. So they're trying to carry on in his tradition. But there's quite a few things that I like about this being rooted in practicality and realism. And this was something that Emma Watson herself really championed for,
How do you mean realism?
to be more realistic. So I know it's a live action.
I
and
didn't
know
get
that the
that.
first one was
I
a
didn't
cartoon.
get that vibe.
It's about a giant man bear who has like talking cups and
Oh,
candlesticks.
could you fuck off for a minute?
Okay.
So just
on, I'll be right back.
Just for a minute, just fuck off for a minute. No, I mean just.
I
with
just don't
some-
understand what you mean.
I mean, if you'd let me fucking talk instead of interrupting me, all would be known. Your mind is gonna be blown. Are you ready?
She's gonna blow our minds.
Blow your mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. So for this,
Oh, I'm sorry. I coughed. Okay.
You son of a bitch.
we are not gonna make it to our 10-year anniversary tomorrow. He's gonna be dead.
He's like, I gotta pull out all the stops to fuck this thing up.
We only have 2 hours until it's officially our anniversary. He's not gonna make it. Anyway, well, I just meant to be more rooted in practicality instead of maybe realism, but practicality. One of the main things that Emma Watson championed for was her wardrobe.
Okay.
And she wears sturdy work boots instead of the little like ballet
Dainty.
slippers that that Belle wears in the cartoon. And none of her outfits are corseted because she thought that Belle was a very active heroine, a very active Disney princess, and didn't think that she should be hindered in any way.
Okay.
So there's small elements, and like you made such a big deal. Now it doesn't seem like that big of a point out. Sometimes you should just let me talk, I think. But that was a couple of the elements that I thought were really interesting. Now, Kevin Kline plays her father. He plays Maurice. Does that
That's
make
Kevin
you guys?
Kline?
Does that make you guys feel old? It makes me feel really old.
That's Kevin Kline?
Yeah, he plays her dad. He plays
Holy
Maurice.
shit.
Yeah, so so he's the dad, but in this version, I've been reading in other sources, Belle's the inventor of the family in this version, not her dad.
What's her dad do then?
Maybe he was an inventor too, but
He
she's
just
the
cracks and
active
paps,
inventor.
sits around, watches
Just
like Judge
like-
Judy.
You know
almost
what?
gets attacked
I'm
by a
gonna
beast.
go
It's
hang
fine.
out with the beast.
Yeah.
You know, I got nothing to do.
Right.
You're the inventor. Me.
Right?
I'm
Go
gonna see if I can
invent
get me some
something.
bear dick. I need something to make me feel alive.
I'm so
gonna
glad you
drink a
guys
Pabst
took
Blue
every
Ribbon.
ounce of joy that this movie has given me and just reduced it to cat bear dick.
Well, I was always bothered by like the
Cat
one
bear dick.
overly smug girl in town who decided she was better than everybody else, walking around and finding, a town full of happy people and just saying, "Fuck all of you, I'm smarter than better
you
than
guys."
every one of you."
Well, you know, that's
and then being chased by and almost raped by a bear for the next hour and a half of the movie.
But that's what we were told feminists looked like, you know. We were told in the early 90s that they were bitchy and kind of like self-righteous, you know. They were trying. They gave us a strong female character,
Yeah.
but they didn't quite get it right. And now this film hopefully is a chance for them to get it
I hope
right
so.
in all of its like brilliant nuances, because I do think this film looks very feminist. I don't think Emma Watson would have been in it if it wasn't,
No.
because she's a huge champion for women's rights and, you know, rights of the oppressed around the world. And I don't think she'd have done it if she couldn't, you know, if she didn't think
Right.
she could, you know, really make something great. So that's why, I mean, that's a big part of why I'm excited. I'm also really excited because there's going to be a new character named Cadenza, and the voice of Stanley Tucci.
I didn't know you had a thing for Tucci.
Tucci is like the best part of any movie. I don't know how you don't know
See,
this.
you know
The
what?
Tooch?
I think that
The booty
I,
Tooch.
I think his best role, get this, is as the psycho killer in Jury Duty.
Well, spoiler alert, goddammit.
You never seen Jury
No.
Duty?
No.
Pauly Shore's jury duty.
Pauly Shore's
Are you guys
Jury
fucking
Duty?
with me right now? God damn it. Does
Hey,
it?
you've seen Son-in-Law. I know
It's
you
true. I
have.
have
Have,
seen
have you seen Biodome?
No.
What?
No.
With Stephen Baldwin.
One Pauly Shore movie was more than enough.
No,
in
no.
the army
You-
now? Encino Man?
Encino Man alone. Come on. Come on.
I'm sorry,
That's the
guys.
first one. Okay.
Sorry, y'all.
Oh my God, you need to get on
All
that.
right, fine.
Get on the Pauly
the
Shore
greatest actor of
bandwagon.
this or any generation. Buddy.
Buddy.
Oh, you seen the Goofy movie? He's in that.
He is.
Oh,
Yeah, he's one of the characters.
that's
in Goofy
right.
Movie.
He's the one that likes the cheese stuff.
Busted.
He plays the
Leaning
animated
Tower
version
of
himself.
Cheese.
Leaning Tower.
Now,
Cheese.
Am I the only one?
Uh,
Am I the one who thinks Gaston kind of looks like a bitch?
Well, you know that's Dracula, right? He played. That's the guy who played Dracula in Dracula Untold.
Oh, how about them apples?
It wasn't good in that.
Well, here's what I don't get. Like, he's very small. Like, Gaston's a huge motherfucker.
He
Arms
is.
like
He's
tree
supposed to
trunks.
be like
Cast the Rock. Put the Rock in this.
or like
John, your personal
Dolph
man
Lundgren.
crushes really don't have a place in Hollywood casting offices.
Cast the Rock in this.
You just want the Rock and everything, don't you?
He
Yes.
does. He actually.
Schindler's List 2.
Okay.
Starring the Rock.
Okay.
Re-Schindling.
So okay, I'm sorry. So we said we
Jesus
weren't.
Christ.
Shin harder.
We said we weren't going to talk about the election, and I don't want to.
No, we're not gonna
But
do that,
one
so.
thing that John did say, like we were just so depressed. We were lying in bed one night and we weren't going to sleep because we were just fucking depressed. And John had seen an article online where like The Rock was kind of thinking about like
Running
a run, like a
in
presidential run.
2020.
And so John and I started like
He's the people's champion.
well, we started like picking his like tag team partner, aka his vice presidential
Mick Foley.
candidate, and we started.
Ric Flair?
We picked Ric Flair.
No.
And
Make
No.
America woo.
No.
again.
but like we started like booking, we started booking all this shit and like talking about all this crazy stuff that would happen like in the races and stuff. And I was like, John, I was like, we have no business talking about politics, but we booked one hell of a WrestleMania.
See, I would have picked.
So he really does want The Rock to do everything. Is my point.
Right. I mean, I would have, if it were me, I would have picked his running mate would have been Mick Foley.
The Maker's a good idea.
Mick's very smart.
And I would
He is
say
very smart.
he
It's a
could
good idea.
depending on how the polls went, he could decide which character he's going to be.
Right?
So like
Mankind.
it-
Come on.
Well, yeah, Mankind. But sometimes he might
Cactus
want to
Jack.
pull out Cactus Jack.
It's true.
You know?
I think America
and it's
needs
like
Mankind
which
right now.
Mankind are we getting? Are we getting like late '90s Mankind, or are we going to get the corporation versus the union Mankind?
I don't know,
Which
man.
that's like the best one.
Yeah.
And Mr. Sacco can be the Secretary of State.
Oh my god. We forgot about Sokka when we were talking about
I thought Secretary of the
Ryan,
Interior,
this
but we can talk
Secretary
this
of
over.
State.
why, like
Yeah.
you were the perfect like third of this like tripod of bullshit. Like
Yeah, but I'm
perfect.
just saying, Mr.
Mankind,
Sacco's
Secretary
the
of
Secretary of State.
perfect.
Hey,
Done.
you know,
Well, I'm Mick
Gaston,
Foley and
when it really
Secretary
comes
of State
to
Sacco.
We're just like so inordinately pleased with ourselves. I'm sorry, everyone.
when it comes to Gaston,
Yes,
it
please.
should be the pie-eating, jabroni-beating, trailblazing, eyebrow-raising, best of the future, best of the present, best of the past, gonna whoop the beast candy ass.
Gonna whoop the Beast's
They're gonna
candy
whoop
ass,
the Beast's
guys.
candy
Come
ass.
on. Come on, you
they
can't
should
make this
have
shit
cast
up.
The Rock, but no, instead, I mean, Gaston doesn't look
Rock for
intimidating at all.
2020.
Yeah,
It's true.
Yeah, vote Rock for president.
But you know
2020.
why they couldn't cast The Rock? He's just so delicious. Like, how could Belle resist? Like, she doesn't like Gaston. If Gaston looked like The Rock, she'd be like, okay, fine. You're like super chauvinistic.
He would just be sitting there like
But you is so
He'd just be
pretty.
sitting there tearing apart, tree stumps.
That's because Gaston.
And her panties would just rip in half. Like, you can't help it. It's The Rock. Like, come on.
That's because Gaston gaslighted.
He's
her.
so pretty.
Oh, boom.
Yeah, no, The Rock is too
And I mean,
pretty to be
meanwhile,
Gaston.
Gaston could have had a 3-way with sisters, so he missed out on that.
He's kind of dumb. 4-way, because there's 3 sisters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, Gaston. His penis is small. It doesn't count.
That's true.
That's what roids will do.
Yeah.
That is what roids will do.
He uses
yeah.
antlers and all of his
So,
decorating.
you guys ruined everything, but
Okay.
I'm really excited for Beauty and the Beast next year. It comes out on my mom's birthday, so I'm hoping she and I
I'm
get to go
excited for Rock Foley 2020.
see it. See, now we all have something to look
Okay.
forward to.
I am also excited about this. I am a little nervous about the repackaging. But
yeah.
speaking of packaging, we saw Sausage Fest.
Sausage
That's
Party.
party.
So
You were
just
so committed to the
fucked that up.
transition. You were so committed, and it was so good.
Oh my
This
god.
one wasn't my favorite. I'm sorry.
and hold for editing that won't happen. Speaking of packaging, guys, Sausage Party.
So
Oh fuck.
Well, that just started things off with a
yeah,
bang, didn't
that
it?
did.
Well,
that
speaking
did.
of fuck, Sausage Party.
That's true. That's actually accurate.
So yeah, I was looking forward to this movie all summer, and I saw it in theaters.
Nice.
And
in
I
theaters.
cracked the
Look
fuck
at
up
you.
watching
Look
it.
at you.
It's Sausage Party is one of those movies that you don't know if it is. I mean, it's definitely poking Disney and like Pixar in the eye.
Yeah.
Which is weird because they were kind of like trying to homage it almost. Like
I don't think they were homaging.
I
I think
heard
they
that Seth
were.
Rogen's like a big fan and
Okay.
like loved how they make like everyday things into like people or whatever. You know what I mean?
It just reminded me of so much of like trying to rip on Toy Story.
Oh yeah, I mean they were. I
know.
think they were doing a heavy amount of satire for sure.
Yeah, like cars and stuff like that.
yeah,
yes.
but that's where their
Yeah.
inspiration was like coming from. So
Yeah, but I love that. I love I'm a fan of Seth Rogen's films. I love the night of was what it was called? The night.
Oh, the night of.
What was the night?
The night before.
The night before.
Was it
yes.
the night before?
Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express.
Superbad.
Neighbors.
I even liked This Is the End. And
This
I
Is
don't
the
think
End
a
was
lot of
good,
people
yeah.
did.
No,
I
a lot
liked
of
that
people
movie.
didn't.
That was funny.
But I love that humor.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. And
No,
I don't,
it's not.
And this film in particular, I don't think it's for everybody. This film's kind of fucked up, you guys. It's like kind of
It
weird.
really is. So
And it just missed for me, and I'm glad we're talking about this because I want to work this out because
There's nothing
just
you like
Brian,
more than a near miss. There's nothing you like more.
Well,
than
no,
a near
just
miss.
like Brian, I love Seth Rogen movies. I love these guys. I usually
love
laugh my
Pineapple
ass
Express.
off. Yeah, Pineapple
You
Express.
didn't laugh your ass off of this, did you?
No, I did, and somewhat, but like it just missed on me, and almost like a group therapy session. I kind of want to figure out why.
Okay.
I think part of the reason is what is so funny about their movies is because it's them. Like it's just normal everyday like schlubs, thrown into like extreme circumstances, but they're usually like dumb or high, and so it's funny. But when you make it animated and you take that humanity out of it, I don't know, maybe that's what threw me out.
See,
of this movie.
I thought the opposite. I thought that they did a great job of trying to add, not even just, humanity into these inanimate objects, food, that we eat every day, and really don't think half of, You're not eating a piece of pizza and thinking I'm ripping off the pizza's legs, and that's kind of the whole deal.
And that's kind of how they came up with it. They were just saying one day, like,
They were probably really
what
high.
if,
So high.
probably they didn't say that, but they said, like, well, what if our food had feelings? And they were like, it'd be really fucked up because we eat it,
Well, think about it. Like, how many times have you ever gone and, like, especially around the holidays, when you're making, like, gingerbread men?
Yeah.
And, like, you're saying, I'm going to eat your fucking head. And you rip off the gingerbread man's head. I mean, am I the only one who does that?
Do you want to know what John makes for Christmas?
Gingerbread dicks.
They're not gingerbread, but you got the dick part right. He makes sugar. We make sugar cookies every year, and he makes dicks.
And they are delicious. And your father would always eat the dicks because they were the biggest cookies.
God damn it, John. Do you have to talk about my dad eating the dick cookies?
Well, they were always the biggest cookies. So your dad would load up with a plate full of dicks.
Did he know they were dicks?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He thought it was
and
funny.
he'd dip them in his coffee and he'd eat the head first. I'm like, whoa,
He didn't give
mazel
a
tov.
shit. He didn't give a shit. Sometimes I think he would like try to hold your gaze when he was eating one. Like, I don't give a fuck, motherfucker.
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna eat this dick cookie.
Although-
It's funny.
I know. I always worry about Dad because he would never eat the vagina cookies.
Shouldn't you worry about my mom? If he wouldn't touch the vagina ones?
Did you
Shouldn't
make
worry about
vagina
my mom?
cookies too?
Oh yeah.
One year he did.
Yeah, you just see what you do is you take one of those really long sticks as a point, and you can start carving like the lips.
Oh God. So yeah.
Less than 2 hours till our anniversary.
So yeah.
So, anyways, Crimson Tide. Wait, what are we talking about?
Sausage Party.
Oh, okay.
But I guess for me, I thought that it was refreshing to see an animated movie, one that is totally aimed at adults.
Yeah.
Do not take children to see
no.
this movie.
I don't think it had the same Deadpool like parents stupidly taking their kids to it as much.
No,
though, thankfully.
I mean, one, the name alone kind of made it so it kind of precluded you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a parent who took your kid to see Sausage Party, you shouldn't have kids anymore. Like the title alone should be like, you should stay away from this film. But I mean, I found that they did add a lot of characteristics to these inanimate objects, these foods. And I liked how every food that they picked had their own kind of like personality to them. To the point where like you
Their
have
own stereotype.
Yeah, their own stereotype. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You know, you have the bagel who's extremely, Jewish acting. You've got the
I didn't know it was Edward Norton until after
Neither did
the
I.
movie. Yeah.
I did not realize that until the end credit and scene.
And this is kind of where I thought
You know?
that the film failed, because I think that the overall theme, of religion, which is pretty undisputable.
Yeah.
I thought
was very
that
pro-atheist,
They
which I
were
loved.
trying to be. I think they were trying to. They thought they were being a lot more clever than they actually were, and I think falling into these like stereotype traps with like very stereotyped like accents and food, I thought that kind of just like took away from the original message. I didn't like that, because this didn't feel like representation. It just felt like putting people, or in this case food, into their little boxes where we only understand so many things about them and we aren't challenged in any way.
Can I
Right, but
challenge you on that?
Sure. I could challenge you on that too.
You guys can always
because here's what I looked at it as. I looked at it as breaking out of those constraints. Okay, throughout the whole movie, these foods are under the impression that if they obey certain laws, okay, that they will go and get chosen by the gods, so to speak, and go to the great beyond.
Right.
Which you find out later, the great beyond is you get eaten. Okay, and they're under the
And it's
impression,
terrifying.
and it's terrifying. It really is. It's hilarious. I cracked the fuck up watching it happen. I mean, I might be sick, but I'm just saying I cracked up watching
You're still
it.
our friend. It's okay.
We're
Okay,
all a little mad
but-
in here.
For me, I looked at it as the arc of these characters is to self-determine their own destinies, okay? To break out of those boundaries that they existed in. For example, they're under the impression that, for example, the I forget the base of the pita. Is that
The
what it was?
lavash bread.
The lavash bread.
Lavash.
I don't know what the hell lavash bread is.
Shouldn't you though?
No. I'm a terrible Jew, okay? I'll be the first to say it.
1-800 bad Jew.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the
I
lavash bread.
the lavash bread and the bagel. Okay. They keep going back and forth and fighting over and over the entire
Right.
movie, and it isn't until the end when they're broken out of that and you actually see them go back to their normal areas, and they're kind of looking at each other like, he's my friend now. So you can take it as well. They use the stereotypes, but that broke out of those constraints to the point where the arc of this whole story is that these foods don't have to follow these rules,
And
that
that's
they
certainly a
can
worthy
be on their
message.
own. And it definitely does have a very pro-atheist message
It
here.
does.
It's like hits you over the head with it. But I also think it has a pro break out of your own constraints message as well.
Right. Well, I think that was a lot of the part that they kind of discussed, breaking away from, just mindless doctrine.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it was necessarily saying you don't need to believe in a higher power. I just think, like, if you're mindlessly following something that is harmful, that's really not the best idea
Yeah.
for anyone,
And I would challenge you on this in that, when you look at these like Pixar and DreamWorks movies, like look at Cars. Who plays like the old pickup truck, in Cars? Larry the Cable Guy.
Yes.
They pick stereotypical versions of, okay, if we have an Italian or a French car, we need to like get Jacques Cousteau, we need to get somebody.
The Italian, the
Depardieu.
Italian, tire salesman. Okay. His whole thing was he was the Italian cars, that was, a stereotype.
Yeah.
And the sauerkraut's going to be German, and they're obviously going to want to kill the juice.
Really,
I thought that was hilarious.
I didn't like it, but I think there's
come on, Elaine.
But I just think there's a difference between, I don't know. You guys are ridiculous. No, I'm just not sure that backing up something that I found wrong with the film and saying that exists in other films is quite a right defense, though. I mean, like...
Well, aren't they satirizing it,
I think it's more of a satire than anything.
I hope so. I mean, like I said, I wasn't crazy about it, but, I can see you guys' points. It wasn't my favorite part.
I looked at it as they were pulling from those Pixar movies. I'm kind of I'm in agreement with John on this one.
Fair enough.
They were trying to go ahead and take that, stereotyping that they do in those movies.
Yeah.
And basically throw it on its head. And that's the definition of satire.
I just hope people like got that and weren't just like being exposed to stereotypes once again. That's all.
Yeah. I don't think it was necessarily harmful. I personally, I don't think
it's no different than South Park.
And
how they
okay.
handle
Fair
things,
enough. Fair enough.
So, but we didn't even talk about the story of this. So, you guys want to go ahead and kind of give a...
Lane,
Think of the story?
you got the most recent, reminder of it. You kind of like took some notes this afternoon. Why don't you placate us and feed us with your knowledge?
Okay.
Shove it in my mouth hole.
Ew, you're
my
gross.
Ear hole.
Okay, so so we have this supermarket where all the food lives, and we open with how everybody's like so happy to be there, and the only thing better than being there is that they get to go to the great beyond after being chosen by the gods. The gods are humans, and they
That means outside of the
so
grocery store.
and I would say exclusively the shoppers are considered the gods because they don't really regard what was his name, Darren? The
No,
guy
they
who worked
consider him
there?
as an overlord.
Yeah, he was like an overlord. So
Yeah.
so they're in the store, and the main characters, I guess,
Frank.
we would just call Frank and Brenda. Right?
Frank and Brenda,
Right. So
And,
Frank is the sausage,
played by Seth Rogen.
and Brenda's the bun, and
Frank's
and so,
best friend is Barry, the
Right.
shapen Michael Cera sausage.
So then there's a kind of like a introduction so we understand the world. That's like the main song. And then they have a little honey mustard that ends up being returned at the store.
Do you know who the honey mustard is?
McBride?
Yeah.
That's I thought.
Danny
That's what I
McBride.
thought.
He ends up being returned.
Yeah.
And
So like someone bought
yeah.
him, didn't like him, brought him back.
and he kind of is like scarred for life.
He's like he can't even speak basically, right? Like he's very upset.
Yeah.
So so he comes back and he's like, guys, you don't even know. You don't
These
even know
gods
what's
are
going
monsters.
on. So
And he gives like what does he like to say? Like, they're gonna go ahead and jizz all over our faces.
As only Danny McBride can.
Danny
Their
McBride
faces and jizz all over the place.
He was kind of perfect for this. So he comes back and he's totally freaking out, and I guess like people just like don't really believe him
No.
at first because I mean it's kind of like dismantling.
Their whole world.
Yeah, exactly. And so we have a shopper who then purchases the package of sausages and the package of buns.
Yep.
And so Frank, such a clever name, guys. So Frank and Brenda think that they're destined to be together now, because that's how they like are able to like be married. I guess.
No, it's married and fucking.
Yeah.
Right, but like they think that they're
He
meant
wants
to be.
he wants to put a sausage in a bun.
Well, yeah.
I've got a hole where you got a hole where only I can fit.
Right. I mean, I
but
get that.
it's more than just that. They legitimately do love and care about each other, but they've been following this doctrine of they're not allowed to touch each other. They have to stay inside the packages.
Right.
They don't want to be considered not fresh because they can be thrown away.
Yeah, because Darren throws out all the spoiled
yes.
food.
And so they think that they decide because they're getting chosen, they touch their tips.
Right.
Their
right.
hands.
They touch hands.
Touch hands.
Right. So once they're purchased, the shopper also picks up sausages, the buns, and then the honey mustard that was the one that was chosen, and everybody else is so excited. But this is when Honey Mustard says, like, guys, you don't understand. The Great Beyond is bullshit. And and so he doesn't want to go back, and he gets ready to take a flying leap out of the cart. Frank goes to save him. Brenda leaves her bag to save Frank. And then
And causes chaos all over the place, like a giant spill.
It's so terrifying, like the way they shot it, like it's so funny.
You're also introduced to the I guess this would be, I don't know which, if you would call this the main villain, but the
greatest
douche,
casting of all
the
time.
douche.
Nick Kroll as the
as the
douche.
douche. Well, yeah. Well, just really quick.
My snap, my nose.
Something important happens because
Seriously, bro. No disrespect. Do you even lift, bro?
Are you guys done?
Yeah.
So before Honey Mustard falls out, before the big accident happens, he tells Frank to seek out Firewater to learn like more about the answers that he needs.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Honey Mustard falls and crashes, and a bunch of other stuff is damaged. I thought the can of noodles, like that with his like inside spilling out like guts, was particularly upsetting. I don't know about y'all, but that
that
so
part of the
messed
movie
up.
was an homage to Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it still was upsetting.
I love the peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter's wife just died.
Oh my god! I'll put you back together. I'll put you back together.
And then the Oreos half has been
it's like
separated.
dazed.
It's just like
stumbling. Oh my god, it was really bad. So then, okay, now this is when, because Frank and Brenda they've escaped the chaos, but they're out of their packages and the store's closed. So they run into the douche. And his nozzle's bent, and he can't fulfill his purpose, so he's just like all kinds of like really like pissed off.
And he gets thrown away.
Yeah, Darren sweeps him up in the garbage, but being in the garbage, he finds that like this cracks his side and his juices are leaking out, and he like has a little cry, 'cause he's not gonna be able to fulfill his destiny. But then he finds a broken grape juice box. And then he drinks out of the box's crotch.
Yeah, and
to refill.
He discovers what we know as human beings, that the food gives strength and power.
Right.
And so he juices up, quite literally.
And he's ready to kick
He's like,
some
if you ever
ass.
tell anyone about this, I'll fucking kill you, bro.
He's ready to kick some ass. So Brenda and Frank are heading back to their aisles, and this is where we meet the flatbread Lavash and then Sammy Bagel Jr.
Sammy Bagel.
And they kind of point Frank in the right direction to the liquor aisle, so he can find Firewater.
He decides that he's on his own gonna go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Down
He leaves
to the liquor
Brenda
aisle.
with them to go deal with.
And
the
he kind of like, well, we could go to our aisle, or we could go to the liquor aisle, and he discovers Firewater, who's played by Bill Hader.
Yeah, I love Bill Hader so much.
It's hilarious.
So
I thought initially it might have been Johnny Depp.
Oh, interesting.
Because the
It
voice,
has that, I
has
could
that,
totally buy that.
that voice to it, and I was like, "Is that fucking Johnny Depp?" Mm-hmm. But no,
yeah,
it's
I totally
Bill
can see
Hader.
that.
Well, it couldn't have been Johnny Depp because Firewater never smacked around the schnapps.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Hey, you know what? I like it. Calling out bad behavior. Fuck you, Johnny Depp. I like it. Good job, John.
Yeah.
So they kind of explain and give Frank like a little bit of the rundown, but then Firewater decides like he's just like heard too much, and they almost kill him.
They do. Well, what he does is Frank discovers that there is a group of non-perishables.
Yeah, like grits.
Grits and Twink
So
and
good.
Firewater, who've been around since the beginning.
And they've seen it all, and I guess like what the non-perishables were the ones that came up with these
yes,
stories.
they came up with the song and
people
the
wouldn't
belief.
Be afraid.
Yes, to keep them basically in line, so to speak. And that's a complete criticism of religion right there.
Oh, interesting. I
If
thought
I
it
ever
was so
saw
that
it.
they weren't scared. That's interesting.
Well, you
that's
think
what
about it, that's
religion
what
is.
religion is.
Well, yeah, I don't
for a lot of
disagree.
people.
But I mean, I also don't disagree with that. It can be a controlling element, if improperly, implemented. But in this case, I just thought they had done it so that people wouldn't be so the food wouldn't be so afraid.
Right, but at the same time, I think that it even Firewire says is like they use my song to go ahead and manipulate people. They
yes.
kept changing the lyrics.
I see.
Which is completely you could look at Christianity right there.
Yeah,
and
I see what you're
Jesus, came up with an idea. His followers I fucked it up.
And that's where the
You know.
stereotyping
Yeah.
comes in, but for a good purpose. Like
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
saying that,
I see.
any good idea can be so manipulated and just
Yeah.
destroyed and twisted.
I see.
Yeah.
I see what you guys are saying. So then Brenda goes looking for Frank, but then she runs into Tequila.
Tequila, also played by Bill Hader.
He's kind of the best.
He did.
And then Brenda,
Like, yes, you with the sausage?
and this is where Brenda, Lavash, and Sammy meet Teresa Del Taco, who's voiced by Selma Hayek, and she definitely has a crush on Brenda.
Oh my god. It's very obvious, like really overt.
and
I don't get it.
And so she helps. And so
She just loves that bun.
And so she helps them. Teresa does, because she knows they're being brought in for a trap, and so when Douche arrives, Teresa actually hides them.
Yeah.
Douche like smashes the tequila and juices up on his fluids
He does.
some more.
He does.
So nasty. And then Teresa leads the food out of like a secret passageway, I guess.
Yep.
And then Frank's chilling with the non-perishables while this is going on,
Yep.
having like a smoke. And,
They're all smoking up. Like that's a big
and
thing.
in this world, the non-perishables are kind of considered immortal.
Yeah.
And this is like what we were talking about when he's mad that they changed the lyrics of the song and stuff. And so then
Did anyone else love the fact that Grits is like, fucking crackers took my eye hole? Like he literally just says that. I'm just like, oh god. It's
Amazing.
hilarious.
amazing.
Oh, they went there every 5 minutes
Every
in this
single
movie,
time they
and I
went
loved
there.
it.
Yeah.
They did.
So then Frank decides he's gonna warn everybody.
Yep.
And then
Well, they tell him that he does, because he doesn't initially believe it.
yeah, right.
He doesn't believe it. And they say, go to the dark aisle.
And there's the proof.
And
you
there's the
need.
proof. And the dark aisle ends up basically being the cooking utensil aisle.
Oh.
You know? Where he sees the cookbook
That's
that
right.
says, like shows pictures of the food getting eaten
That's right.
by people. And that's when he's confirmed that this is real. That's not bullshit.
Yeah.
Did anybody get any like vague, similar feelings towards Planet of the Apes? Like,
A little bit.
yeah.
I can
A little,
see
it had
I
a
can
little bit
see
of
it.
that vibe
Yeah.
to it, yeah.
Why would they make a doll that talks? Human doll that talks, doctor.
So we're at the shopper's house who bought the package that Frank and Brenda escaped from.
And then we have a
Do you wanna-
horde.
With
Do you wanna
Barry.
give us some rundown of what happens at the house?
Oh, God.
Well, they're all excited, and then the food starts to get chopped up and cut up.
In the most
And cooked
horrifying
and
way
it's just like awful.
possible.
eating children.
The baby carrots get eaten.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and
so
Michael
horrible.
Cera is the only one who escapes.
Yeah, because
Barry.
the other when the hot dog gets like sliced upwards, like
That was Jonah Hill as
And-
yeah,
Carl.
Jonah. Oh,
And I
Jonah.
thought I liked the Bill Hader and Edward Norton in the movie because they were playing characters and guising the real voice. It was too on the nose of Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill. Like I couldn't get over the fact that I was just hearing Jonah Hill.
That's
Oh,
not
I
saying
can see
that.
what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
That didn't bug me too much. I mean, like honestly, I don't think Jonah Hill and Michael Cera could do a different voice.
Michael Cera was hired because of his voice. He's a very
He-
distinct
right,
is.
because he's
timbre,
that
you know?
little gimpy hot dog.
Yeah, he's
Right.
always going to be the little.
He's
gimpy
got to be
hot
like,
dog.
thanks, guys. I'm glad I'm the little gimpy hot dog.
Yeah,
Right.
but Barry escapes and he's kind of freaking out, and he's just on the street and he's just finding like a used condom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was great.
The used condom was like, I don't know what's going
No,
on.
how can we not talk about the zombie corn? The fucking zombie corn? Are you kidding me right
shit,
now?
he finds a piece of shit and he thinks it's a hot dog, and then he looks at it more and it's corn inside the shit that's zombies.
That was one of the best parts of the whole film, I'm pretty sure.
And he ends
Yes,
up basically
that might have been the best part.
encountering a drug addict,
James Franco.
James Franco. Big
who's
shocker
buying
there.
bath salts.
I heard Franco was in this, but I didn't know where, and I had to look it up on IMDb after I got
Yeah.
home from the movie. I was like, "Oh, that's
Yeah,
Franco."
big shocker. James Franco's in it as a drug addict. And he's buying bath salts, and he's so excited to try the bath salts out. And he's at his apartment, and you find out that bath salts are able to break the fourth dimension so that human beings can see the food talking.
Yeah, basically
Mm-hmm.
that's like kind of that storyline. Like that's what happens there.
Yeah.
Because all this is kind of happening simultaneously. Because while all that's going on, Brenda, Teresa, Lavash and Sammy, they're
Good for you.
they're walking around, and Brenda's sure that everything that's going on is her fault because she and
She
Frank
thinks
touched
because
tips.
well, Brenda thinks that also. Teresa Del Taco thinks that her feelings for Brenda are unnatural
and a punish
and
an affront to the
an
gods.
affront to the gods, which
Yeah, again,
sounds again
super familiar sounding.
super familiar sounding. Okay,
Yeah, totally.
So you've got these real world issues that people.
Oh, yeah.
They took into this movie. So that's why I think
They're not subtle. They're not
No,
subtle
they're not
about any
subtle.
of it. But
They're
maybe
not subtle,
maybe
but
we don't want subtlety right now. Like maybe we need something a little more on
yeah.
the nose.
But I mean that's one thing I thought that was great about the movie
Yeah.
is that it did put that in there.
It did.
You know.
Yeah. So we're dealing with like those themes at the same time, but this is like kind of action packed at this point because they get attacked by like douche who's like totally jacked up at this point, like
Yeah.
and he's about to kill Brenda, but then she rips off the sticker that was keeping all of his juices inside, and they manage to escape. So that's what's going on with them. And then, like you said, the druggie was going on, and like he sees the food and like the toilet paper all talking.
Yep.
He's tripping out.
And that's when they meet Gum.
And then, well, no, wait,
Sorbitol Malatos.
you guys are a little ahead of me. One last thing, you
I gotta
guys.
say, this is a very thorough analysis.
This is
Thank
really
you.
thorough.
Yeah,
This is kind of
wait.
play by play
Yeah,
here.
well, you guys, I mean, the one thing you guys just that I want to mention is that, you know, Frank reunites with everybody and tries to get them to go to the Dark Isle with him so he can show, you know, what really happens. But Brenda's like super firm in her beliefs, and she's mad that Frank would badmouth the gods. And she says that she would rather go to the Great Beyond without him and get filled with something else. So then that's when he goes alone to the Dark
Did you
Isle.
say like an eggplant?
Yeah, like, or tube of toothpaste.
A tube of toothpaste?
Right. So then Frank finds the page of a sausage and bun being eaten in the cookbook, like you mentioned.
Yes.
He finds the cookbook, rips the page out, and then goes to tell the truth. So it's the morning now, and you know, the store's about to open, and this is where the movie just takes a very hard swerve. So Frank goes to like pull the lid off this whole thing. He gets himself on camera. He shows the page, and he's about to talk about stuff, you know, that's really happening. But the food thinks he's just, you know, blaspheming and making shit up. But then he reunites with Barry, and Barry has the decapitated head of the
Yes.
druggie. Like, what?
He's just like, yeah, they can totally die.
And because we see like how through happenstance it all like came
it
about.
was definitely a
But
mousetrap.
they know that the gods
type
can
death.
be killed. So Frank's, you know, he's got a couple things in his
Well,
plate.
I think you missed one important thing is that when he initially goes ahead and kind of shows the food that this is the reality, all of the food don't listen to him.
Oh yeah, they think he's
They
blaspheming.
don't want to. Well, it's I think it like that for me is one of the purest points of this whole film.
He's telling
that
the truth with
whenever
evidence,
like
he's not
and you
believed.
could say even with, I mean, we don't want to talk about politics, but our current political climate, you know,
It's not hard to see.
it's not hard to see the parallels.
when people are being told the truth with proof,
and
still
people
don't want to hear
but
it.
people want to have their own truth.
Yeah,
They want to
that's a
have
good way of
their
putting
own
it.
truth. And when you give them something that is quote unquote unpleasant and the truth is unpleasant, they rather sit in ignorance
Mm-hmm.
and then acknowledge the reality. Now, and that's even why Firewater kind of comes back and says, you were pretty much just calling them idiots. You know? Well, no, it was Barry who said that they were calling him idiots. And I think that's, I'm sorry, but I see the parallels also with the election too.
Yeah.
You know, what happened to people who questioned, you know, Hillary Clinton? They were called idiots. You know, so I mean, it's the same sort of thing. Do you call people idiots, or do you try to appeal to the hope that they have
Right.
and
Right.
their own thing? So I mean, you could say that's a positive or negative, but I love that particular part of the film.
It's
because
something
it
that we can
speaks
certainly understand now.
truly to where we're at now.
Right. So
Sorry to get off point.
no, it's totally fine. Well, the scene descends into madness, not unlike last week's election.
There you go.
And so they start, the food starts cooking the bath salts
Yes.
and dipping toothpicks in it and shooting it at the shoppers and employees, so they start tripping out and seeing how the food is sentient, and everybody's just totally freaking out. Frank locks the store down, And then they decide that
They
the gods are
decide
monsters
to
and it's
kill
just
'em.
time to get them. So,
And they're not subtle in killing
oh my
them.
god, the Mentos
It's hilarious.
The Mentos and cola were insane.
What does he say? Like, better to die free?
Yeah, they sacrifice themselves. Everybody's like brutally attacked. Oh, and then Douche jumps in Darren's pants and controls him through his ass.
Yes, he shoots his nose up his
He's
ass.
full of, like,
and he
tequila and
pulls,
grape juice.
And he pulls his balls.
Oh my
pulling
Doesn't
god.
his
sound
balls.
too bad, tequila and grape juice. Yeah.
Up your ass? It sounds terrible.
Hey, butt chugging, it's a thing. Frat boys, you know I'm right.
So yeah, so there's like a whole like massive explosion and
And just murdering.
heavy casualties.
I love the end of it where you find out that they put all the dead people in the freezers.
I mean, where else are you gonna put
Like, they
them? They're
just
gonna
put,
smell.
you see them like, you know. Oh.
They're gonna smell. What else are you gonna do with
Freezers.
them? And so like now that they've won, they just like Frank and Brenda are just like, you know what? I think we're gonna do it now. That's like pretty much it.
And
And then there's a huge food orgy.
oh my god.
Like the most,
Yes.
because like, so my benchmark for like where I get offended is the blood orgy scenes in Woodland Critters Christmas on South
I love
Park.
that.
But that's like my line because I still think it's funny. I'm uncomfortable as hell, but I still think it's funny.
I love the
That's
blood
my line.
orgy.
And this
Blood
was
orgy
like
makes me
very
very
similar.
Did this go over your line?
No, I'm just saying like that's my line, and like this was very close to that line, but I was okay. It just was
When I went to see it,
rough.
this is the only point that the audience ever unanimously were in tears laughing.
I would listen.
course.
I was in tears laughing during that scene in the
Like I
theater.
said, this is,
and
like,
there
my
was
line.
not a single
It didn't cross
person
it.
who was just like, "Oh fuck this, it's offensive." You know, no, it was
it was
everyone
hilarious.
dying, rolling
It
on the
was
floor
hilarious.
laughing.
No, it's really funny because we're very, as much as we, pretend that we're like, free Americans and we broke away from like stuffy British, England or whatever, like we're very puritanical and like we do not talk about sex in our country.
In terms-
this sort
well,
of thing was a very
yes.
cathartic moment because we are usually not like that as a country, as a people.
And I just love the fact that it builds.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
it just builds
Everybody
because
gets up in
you
her.
start off with just this really nice sweet sex scene between the hot dog and the bun, and then it goes
That's the
into
thing you just said, by the way. This really sweet sex scene between the hot dog
it
and the bun.
was.
But I mean, that's the thing you just said. That was amazing. This movie
But I'm
kinda
just
gave us a
saying,
lot.
like they
And then it
presented
builds.
it like that,
I'm not saying. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that the movie's so
and
insanely
then it builds
ridiculous.
to the next shot, which is
Shit's
the
breaking
hot dog
loose.
jerking off the bagel and the lavash bread.
It's fine.
And he's just sitting there going, "Hey, I'm over here with these guys."
It's
Then
totally
the movie
fine.
gets bizarrely kind of like meta.
I think this is where the film falls apart for you.
Yes.
I think this is where it falls apart.
Oh, with the we're gonna go to our Stargate thing, and
Well, kind of, because
yeah.
like they're told then that they are cartoons from the mind of Seth Rogen and his friends.
that part I didn't care.
It got
for.
super meta. I feel like they could have ended at the orgy and that would have been fine.
I think the reason they did that was to and they even Seth Rogen said that this was the first film he actually set up for a sequel.
Huh.
So it was designed for that.
Interesting. Okay.
Because if you look at all his other films,
Makes
like
me like it
Pineapple,
even less.
but if you look at all his other films, like Pineapple Express, and the night
Superbad.
before, and Superbad, not Superbad. That wasn't. Well, he wrote that.
He wrote
Yeah, he
it.
did,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm always
if
thinking
you
of him
look
as
at
the writer.
right?
Yeah.
If you look at those films, they're all self-contained films,
Right.
You know, they're not. There's not going to be a super
I
Superbad
love
too.
Superbad.
I do too.
Superbad. Such a good movie.
But they're all self-contained films, and they're not designed to be franchise films.
Right.
You know, there's no like, gotcha, it's going to be the end. So I think this was the first one that they did that with.
Right.
And I mean, for me, I think that's the only natural way you could go with it. I mean, my guess would be like what happens, the day after. You know,
Yeah.
where
And
when
that's
when
where
say the district manager shows
Or
up,
when they start to rot.
or that's the thing too. They're out of their packages.
Yeah.
What's going to happen now? They're going to start to rot.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the next film. Is
And it'll be like all about death or something.
yeah.
Well, the film pretty much did fall apart in the third act. It was still funny, but I mean, they had nowhere to go when we are the enemy. You know?
It's true. It's
The-
true.
No, but I
The
mean, from the
audience, you
food's
know.
perspective, yeah, we are.
But
know.
it's not like one grocery store full of food could kill every human on the planet. So it's not like they could vanquish the enemy totally. Like,
But if you think about it, that's the only progression that film could go to. Would be that if you look
So
at
they
it
were
from the
kinda
standpoint,
stuck.
if you look at it from the standpoint of if you go to a supermarket, for instance, there's more food there than there are people.
yeah,
So if it's a matter of numbers, they win.
that's true.
And so that's the kind of the thing is I think the third act had to go to the food deciding to try to kill the human beings.
right.
Okay, so I thought that was the only natural progression you could go to, and especially with the second act introducing to us the fact that bath salts allow
Yeah.
us to see.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you can't really get to the third act of them killing us without us seeing them.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I was fine with the third act. I will agree that ending seemed a little forced.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of like, hey, we're going to go ahead and tack this on. And, you know, Seth Rogen, he's a mildly, you know, funny, you know, and not too great actor. And then there's Edward Norton, a moderately accomplished, you know, actor.
Yeah.
And
It's
it-
like skewering everybody.
and it's like, okay, I get it. And we're going to go through this Stargate. I love the fact that they ripped on Stargate.
Yeah, dude. That's
know,
some serious
we're gonna go with the-
nerddom.
The
Serious
Stargate
nerddom.
type hole.
I like that. I like that a
So,
lot.
I mean, I was fine with that part.
for
I
what
just-
the
it
movie
was-
is, you know, I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
They
the standards are
definitely could
different.
have ended it with the giant sex scene.
Yeah, and that would have been fine.
You know,
that would have been fine.
But I mean, I personally I love the film. I
Yeah.
really do. I know, John, you're kind of like,
You know, talking about it, you know, I'm getting more and more, you know, respect.
Are
for
the
it.
memories fond?
Yeah, well, you know, it was one of those things that, like, when you immediately figured out what they were doing, it's just like, okay, you know, I see what you're doing now. You put your cards on the table.
Yeah.
And you know, when something hits you over the head that much, like, you better buy in immediately, or you're gonna have a hard time getting
Yeah.
there. You know, and
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think maybe perhaps I went in with like, you know, a little like being a little hoity about it. You know,
was
but
your bar too high?
it could have been, yeah, considering their previous work. So maybe I had too much expectation going in. But you know, kind of talking about it now, my respect level for it has risen a little bit
Yeah.
during
Okay.
this conversation.
Yeah. Well, speaking of respect, I mean, I do hope they get everything all figured out with the animators because I know
Yes,
that the conditions were
absolutely.
really bad. And even as of today, they must be doing whatever they're doing still because all of the news stories are still dated from August. It doesn't seem like there's any conclusion that's been come to. I know we did talk about this
We did.
movie as a news story, you know, how the animators after the fact were, you know, started to come forward and talk about how bad the conditions were, how they were, you know, threatened with being fired if they didn't work insane overtime and how
Yep.
they didn't get paid a lot. The movie made what, like 90 million?
It made, I can tell you in about 5 seconds.
It made a fair amount of money.
it really
because
did.
of how cheap it was, but it was really cheap because of the expense that it did come to at other people.
Yes.
and I know Seth Rogen didn't have too much to do with that. But.
Its budget was $19 million.
Oh wow!
And
so,
it
did
grossed as of October 30th, which was its last run, 97.
97 mil. That's not
97
bad.
mil.
That's a tidy
Its
profit.
opening weekend, it got
78
33
million profit.
You know,
Wow, that's crazy.
So-
So, I do hope that they get all that figured out.
I do
because
too,
That, that
and
leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Apparently, it's not
Yeah.
that uncommon, and I would
It's
really like
not.
to see more of that being brought to light, so that sort of unacceptable working condition can be just
Absolutely.
eradicated because there's
I
no
just-
cause for that.
I think that's an issue, and we talked about this during that particular news story.
Right.
That below the line people
yeah,
are treated like shit.
don't get
Okay.
the money or the
And
credit.
and if you're not familiar with below the line in film production, you have above the line crew and cast and below the line crew and cast. Below the line are not the people who are getting, market share
Yeah.
of the grosses of these films.
Yeah.
Okay.
below the line would
Below
be like
the
the
line would be
extras,
like
the
the
grips.
extras, the grips, the PAs, even your camera department.
Most of it.
Most of your camera department, with the exception of the director of photography.
The guy that sets up like the lighting dynamic above
Yes.
the line. The guy that actually sets up the light below the line.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
So these are the people who are not
Physical
getting
parts, really.
they're paid, basically per day.
Yeah.
for in some cases. I mean, if they're union, they're getting a better deal.
Right.
But obviously these animators weren't union. There's no way they were union. They must have been hired out of a company. And then
I'm not too sure on the specifics of the story anymore, but I did look it up to see if they ever got paid, and theirs doesn't seem to be too much of a resolution there. So I hope that means that the case.
I really
ongoing.
do. I really do hope
Because
that
that's
it gets
not right.
resolved.
That's
Because
not right.
animators and visual effects artists, they're involved more now in filmmaking than in previous years. Dating back all the way to Jurassic Park being the
there's
first
so
big
much,
one.
and there's so much talent there.
There's so much talent now, and it's now to the point where visual effects, in particular, are in films that you wouldn't normally think would need it. Case in point, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, that had a lot of graphics, didn't it?
It had a lot of graphics, but it's not necessarily graphics. Like the shots of London, that was all CGI.
No shit. Wow.
That was all
That's
CGI.
Amazing.
The sea stuff, on the ship,
Yeah.
CGI.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
a
awesome.
lot of those wide shots were composited.
No kidding.
The
Wow.
same thing with shows like Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah,
Boardwalk
that makes
Empire,
sense.
a good chunk of that was CGI because the cost saving measure. It's cheaper for them to go ahead and do it in a computer than it is to build it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Which has its own issues, and honestly, like I go back
That
both
could be
ways.
a different.
That could be its
episode
own
of this
episode
podcast
on
for
that.
Sure, seriously.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
For that in January.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there you
Maybe
go.
just kinda
But I
maybe
do hope
announce
that they
one.
get that all figured out. With the film, because I think that they had some decent things to say, and it was funny as shit. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart.
No,
Like, don't
it's
take
not.
Grandma.
Please
But
do
it
not.
was funny as
do
shit.
not take
unless
Grandma.
Grandma's dirty, and in that case, like, can we hang out?
Yeah,
Let's
if
be friends.
grandma's like a sweet ass gilf, like just.
I didn't mean like that. I just meant if she's like a cool lady and we can like do shots and go see Sausage Party. Why do you have to
sweet-ass
dirty
gilf.
everything up? You dirty it all.
Oh well, see, I just thought like if she was hot enough, you could do the reverse glory hole. That's when like an old lady jams
What?
up again. It's when an old lady jams her neck or jams up against a glory hole, and you decide if it's her pussy or her neck.
Okay.
We're not going to invite you over anymore. Like, you realize this,
Okay.
right? Like, you're not going to just, you're just not
I
going to be on
got
the show
nothing.
anymore, right?
I got.
This is where we end the show, at Reverse Glory Hole, isn't it?
I seriously got nothing on that one.
You have the final word again, Willis Croft.
Jesus Christ, man. Well,
15 minutes and 1 hour until our 10-year
Yeah,
anniversary. I
yeah.
don't know if we're going to make it,
Well,
Broham.
Oh, if anybody wants to do a gilf glory hole, please message us.
oh Jesus
on
Christ,
Twitter
no.
They can message you personally
They
on
can
Twitter.
message
Where
you.
can we find you on Twitter?
at the Unreal J Wolves.
So all Glory Hole requests can go there. I will be not taking any Glory Hole requests, but you can follow me at LA_Croft.
I won't be taking any glory hole.
That's the thing I said on our show. Are you
And
excited? Are you proud
can
of me?
find me at Brian Coddington on Twitter, or I also run the Psycho Show Twitter account as well. If you do have a film that you would love for us to go ahead and review, or you have a question that you want to throw our way, you can find us and make a comment at cinemapsychoshow.com. You can find us on Twitter at Psycho Show. You can find us on Google+. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, all over the place. You can find us there. We're also trying to get YouTube up as well, so we're going to throw some of our episodes on
If
YouTube.
you look out for us on YouTube.
Yep.
And a new episode?
A new
every
episode will
Friday?
be available every Friday. Also, I just want to say, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
eat turkey and shit.
Eat
if you
turkey and
celebrate.
shit if you celebrate that
We
stuff.
have some listeners in other countries now, so like
That's right.
It is American
That's
Thanksgiving.
right.
So if you celebrate, enjoy. If not, I hope you have a great Thursday.
Yeah, and
Enjoy your day off.
enjoy your day off. Also, just to go ahead and leave you on a little bit of a teaser, we may be having a Thanksgiving special.
We may. We'll see.
And here's another teaser. Cranberries taste like shit. Oh, that's not really a teaser.
No.
That's
you
just a
ruined
fact.
it. You ruined it again.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, we have a very awesome Thanksgiving episode come up. How could you do an episode on Thanksgiving?
We found a way.
Yeah,
We found a way.
Wait, bitches.
All right.
Just wait.
All right.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend.
Bless you.